motion. Like so. Like so. Me and Notch compadres again. I mean, I haven't ever really been mad at him. In fact, if you remember when the game journalists first blew up on him, I was totally mentally on his side in that. So, you know, what just happened? Okay. This will be the title for all future streams. Okay, guys, I have some news. It's maybe neutral news. It's maybe not bad news, maybe not good news. So I live in Boulder, Colorado, and I got to move out of my apartment. And there's lots of places available. They're all expensive because it's Boulder, Colorado. It's an expensive town. But the one that I really want to move into is not available till July 12th. And I got to move out of my current apartment on June 5th. So I may be traveling for like 5 to 6 weeks and not in a fixed home. And what that means is I certainly will not be streaming from this room that you can't see right now. The question is, will I stream during that time? And the answer is we might try some cafe Wi-Fi streams or something. Although, you know, network quality during those can be quite mixed, if you know what I mean. How do you get hundreds of objects on screen and still run at 20 FPS? Well, let me tell you, you got to use Clojure and design patterns, apparently. Anyway, the current landlord could extend the lease. No, they are moving into this apartment when they get back from, like, you know, Asia or whatever. So, I got to be out. It's the owners reoccupying their place. It's a quite nice apartment. The owner is the architect who designed the apartment. So, okay. So that just means streaming is going to be erratic. I'm probably going to be visiting California for some of that time. Go to my old stomping grounds that I can't stand to live in anymore, but I could stomp around a little bit. Stuff like that. Was a major bummer for a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could use some traveling though. I feel like 5 weeks is going to feel like too much, and I'm going to be annoyed by the instability. But, yeah. Living in hotels. It may not be hotels for 5 weeks. Like, I might go camp, you know, stuff like that. I have lived in hotels for 5 weeks before, though. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Starlink Mini. I don't think I'm going to buy a Starlink Mini while I'm traveling. That doesn't sound like the right thing. If you want to camp, check out Fraser Park or Takuya. I have never heard of either of those places. Let's find out. Where are they? Takuya. And Fraser Park. Right there. South of Bakersfield. So when I was a kid, let me tell you something. When I was a kid, I lived in, at first, La Palma, California. That's where I was born. Let's find it. Bellflower, Cerritos. There. See, it's so small, it doesn't even show up till you kind of zoom in. All right. Close to Disneyland. Close to Knott's Berry Farm, which is on here somewhere. And then I moved down to San Diego for like 5th grade and onward. But both of those, living in both of those places, we used to go to a campground that was in the mountains over here. You know, it may be at the previous site of this thing, but it was like kind of like a trailer park, but not exactly a white trash trailer park, more like a vacation trailer park. I don't know if it's exactly the same place, but it was around here. It was before you get to Idlewild, going on this crazy road. Might have been this. Might have been this. Who can say? Anyway, so that is a little bit far from Fraser Park or whatever, but it's probably got a similar vibe, is all I'm saying. Because it's that eastern part of California, you know, in the mountains, in that kind of weather. Yeah. But I will probably, when I'm camping, be up here some, well, up, I don't know, like up here somewhere. Where's frickin', I'm spacing on the general location where it might be, but you know, up here somewhere. Where's Calistoga? Oh, I went way too far. Wait, what? It's over there. Okay. So I might be camping around here somewhere. Come say hi. Do I also like fishing? I don't really like fishing. I did go fishing a fair bit when I was a kid, and I just didn't stick to it. Didn't really need it that much, honestly. Are we hitting 20 FPS in Clojure? Well, we were hitting 20 FPS, and then we made the butt kind of big, and that just took more frames. And so I'm sad to say that we're now down at around 1 FPS because of the size of the butt, but we're going to work on it. We're going to get at least to 2 FPS using design patterns. Yeah, just think about this. All the AIs are learning clean code, guys. All right, I'm going to get some water while this runs for a little bit. Back in a minute. Okay, this is past the point where it was crashing, which was the main thing I wanted to check. It was crashing on like, well, we'll let it go a little bit more, but it was crashing very early. Is this the X1? No, this is a desktop machine. But it's running a debug build, which is why it's framey. Also, we have 100 objects on the screen in Clojure. You know how that is. That's like the limit of computing. Oh my god. Oh, because we're still running. I was like, wait. So I just want to do some basic editor stuff because before the stream, I like effed with entity ID creation because there was a problem, and now I guess I mean I might have made a problem, but I don't know. It seems fine. I'm just going to check it in, and I'm going to send an advisory to the people, which I will dictate. Scary change to entity ID generation. And then what else? Fix an ABC in river stuff. Workaround and log an ABC in river stuff. Okay. Anything else? Anything bad? What's this? Okay, that was just for a breakpoint. We can revert that. Roberta Williams. All right. Cool. Am I still using the keyboard? Yes, it's a Keychron Q3 or whatever. It's in the keyboard commands. Yeah. Yeah, it's with ceramic keys. It is a non-plastic keyboard at all. I mean, interior has plastic, but the surface does not. And you know, honestly, it feels really nice. Maybe I'll go visit Casey in Washington State for a little bit. I don't know. Why am I using ceramic keycaps? Because I wanted a keyboard where I wasn't touching plastic all day. Now, it is kind of stupid because I mostly use my laptop, which is fully plastic. But still, it feels really good. So I've got this Keychron Q3, which is a very heavy keyboard. I have a PC Master Race brand wooden wrist rest from Amazon. I'm going to look for it, but I don't... Maybe they don't have it anymore. Okay, it's one of these. Oh, no, it's not. It's Glorious Gaming Mouse. Sorry. That's the brand. So, but it's brown, and I have one that's wider than this. I don't... This looks way too short. I have this probably. Which honestly, I would like one a little bit wider, but wait. they have another size. Dude. They have 10 keyless size now. I'm going to add that. All right, cool. How do I review it after using it since August 2023? It is much better. So before this, I had like a foam wrist rest. Like, you should absolutely have a wrist rest of some kind if you're typing on a keyboard, because otherwise your wrists will tend to go toward the table, which is down, and it'll like make a kink in the line from your upper arm to your hand. And that's what gives you repetitive stress injury, because it increases the friction as your fingers move. So you don't want that. The problem with foam wrist rests is they get disgusting really fast. And also you're just touching this weird material all day. Whereas the wooden one, it's just totally fine. It's clean. You might think wood is like hard, but not really. It's like, my desk is harder. So, it's fine. I like it. I haven't felt the need to get another wrist rest since getting this. The only problem is it's a little shorter than the keyboard, but dude, we're getting one that's the size of the keyboard. You find Keychrons to have pretty tall front edges? Yes. This wrist rest is slightly shorter than the front edge of the Keychron. That's fine though. You just need it to get you in the general neighborhood. Have I tried supporting elbows while typing? No, that just seems weird. It just seems weird. Okay, so I'm going to send this email, which I'll just read out as I type. Okay. Entity ID change. I just made a scary entity ID change to the game to fix an issue where entity IDs were going up by several hundred each time the overworld was loaded. Hopefully this does not result in any weird bugs or disruption, but it is definitely the kind of code change that might do that. Please let me know if you see anything new and weird. Okay, there you go. There you go. You think the touch typing trend has played a major part in injuries? What do you mean touch typing trend? I don't even know what that means. Okay. Let's just make sure the game runs with that tweak. Little syntactic tweak. Where you hover your hands over the keyboard and use your fingers to reach most keys. Well, so the reason that is done is, again, because you don't want your wrists bent. Like, that is definitely bad. But, I mean, they could be bent a little bit, and your hand can be resting on something. Yeah. So here's the real reason that touch typing happened. I was testing the entity IDs, which is why all those signs were there. The real reason why touch typing happened is because back in the typewriter days, I actually learned to type in 7th grade on a mechanical typewriter, and we also had one at home. And if anyone remembers the way these worked, let me... Yeah, so these fucking things, all right, like this style. Actually, that's not even, that doesn't, I don't even know what the hell that is. One of these. This is very old. This is older than I actually used, but it's kind of stylish. But, you know, this kind of a thing where you push the key and then the arm comes up, and if you press too fast in succession, the arms could like jam because they're trying to hit the same point. All right. Now, the way this works is like you push the F key and like some lever, like, or some hinge, like rotates and pushes the thing. It's the strength of your finger is causing the thing to go. Now there's some leverage on it, so it goes whack, right? But this is not a powered device. It is powered by you. So you had to actually push kind of hard relative to today's keyboards. And if your hands are down, it's very hard to push hard, right? It's very mushy. If your wrists are up, you're like driving your fingers directly more down. And that's how you get enough force to actually type. That is why that's good typing form. Of course, it doesn't apply today anymore at all, but the repetitive stress injury angle, of course, does apply and is much more important now. Why do certain entity types have a global serial instead of the current user serial? Where did you see that? Do you mean from reading source code, or do you mean from an actual number that you saw somewhere? If statement in the code. Okay. So here's how it works. So basically, this is kind of like the system we did for the witness, but different. The reason it's different is mainly, so in the witness, I was like, hey, we need to solve this problem of letting multiple people edit the world at once. How do you do that? We'll just have a file when you start the game. It'll store your MAC address so we remember you. And actually, PCs have many MAC addresses that don't always get fucking reported or whatever. But so it's kind of inconsistent and crazy. But anyway, we store your MAC address in this file. And if it's the first time you start the game, we assign you a range of IDs, right? And if you ran out, you got a new range of IDs. And the thing about the witness was you could get the one time you could get source. So, and then every entity is in its own file, and the file name is the ID number, right? And so you won't ever conflict in the ID space with anybody else, even if they're editing at the same time. There was a little bit of a window for conflict when you first were checking in that range because maybe somebody else grabbed the same range. We didn't have like a server that atomically gives out the range or whatever, right? It would just pick the next one. So that was a little moment where, you know, you just have to be careful not to onboard people at exactly the same time. But then when you ran out in the middle, that could be annoying, right? Okay, so when this game came along, it's a bunch of levels, right? It's not one level like the witnesses. So I was like, well, am I just going to have that file for every frickin' level that you edit? That didn't seem good because it would multiply this potential for conflicts by a large amount. So instead, what I do, instead of allocating you an integer range in flat space, right, I give you an ID, right? my current ID on this computer, it's per computer, right? So mine is 102 here, and that's the first part of this entity ID, right? So any entity that I make is going to be 102 dash something on this computer. And then when I load the level, I know that I'm 102 before I load the level, and then I just see what's the highest 102 dash whatever. And this is just packed. So the number after the dash is the bottom 22 bits. And the number before the dash is the top 10 bits, right? And the user ID is 32 bits. Next game, we probably should use a 64-bit user ID. But anyway, so now, and then the file names are basically this number, except with an underscore instead of a dash, because, you know, file names. And then that's how we prevent conflicts, right? Now, I'm going to have to put clothes in the dryer in a second. Okay, what was the question? Oh, why is there like a global or whatever? Okay, so all user IDs are in this form, or all entity IDs are in this format. It's user dash whatever. So if I'm in the editor, we always want to use my user ID. However, if an entity is automatically created, like during gameplay, for example, you don't want to use my user ID. That's during gameplay, right? And there's no concept of a user ID during gameplay. So that's one place where it's actually not the system ID in that case. It's the gameplay ID, right? But there's other cases like, you know, when you create a level, we automatically create some entities. Like if there wasn't a sun or, you know, a level state entity or whatever, we create those. Those probably could be your user ID just fine, but I think those are system, right? But the most important one is gameplay. We might not even use ID system anymore. No, we do here. So there's a couple of cases when we use it. It's for automatically created things. And then there's a couple other user IDs just for weird things we do. Like, so there's a gameplay entity, like there's these spawners where you can start solving a puzzle and then hit the spawner to reset the state of those objects, right? And we want to remember the ID of the object. And it's easy if we just, when we save the copy of it, we just change the ID instead of, you know, user ID gameplay and then the serial number. It's user ID spawner and then the serial number, and then they don't conflict, right? So stuff like that. Be sneaky for one more day. No, it's in the washing machine. I need to put it in the dryer. We don't want the clothes to get like musty in the washing machine. This will never scale to the 4 billion entity Sokoban 2 game. Dude, it's going to be all we can do to finish this frickin' game, I tell you what. Okay, solve that. We could do this debug command next. And then we could do HUD prompt. I'm kind of hungry. Okay, I'm going to take a couple minute break, put my clothes in the dryer, and get another snack. Does anyone have any other technical questions? Or, okay, here's a thing that you could ask. Let's ask a focused question, all right? Hope I'm practicing clean code on my stream today. Oh boy, we are practicing. The code is so clean. The code is so clean. All right, so guys, next week I am giving a talk at Functional Language Con. And what I want to do is give people an idea of why the programming language is the way it is, what design decisions did I inherit from functional languages, and stuff like that. So if anyone wants to ask this question, or ask specific questions about that, it could help me take notes about like what people want to know. I do believe it'll get recorded and put on YouTube later as well. So this is a way to get questions answered, right? But like, what do you want to know about the programming language design, and especially if it relates to the design of other languages? Do I want like useful questions or entertaining questions? Preferably questions that help me write the talk. Okay, back in a minute. Does a language aimed at making games have to implement functional design? I do not know what functional design is, so no. What's the skill level of the audience? I mean, the audience at the conference is like functional language enthusiasts mostly. But it'll also be on YouTube, and so the audience on YouTube is Gooners, obviously. So what do I think about languages where you can't fail no matter what? Which version of can't fail no matter what do you mean? There's two kinds. There's the kind where, like, you know, if you use a variable name that doesn't exist, it like makes the variable and whatever, right? And then there's the kind where it's like, you know, everything is a strongly typed tagged union and you have to unwrap everything in the universe, right? Which one do you mean? Talk about the principle of lightest contrivance. Does the same apply to languages? Kind of, but it's different. So here's the thing. Like, imagine that you've got a tool set, like of physical tools, like for fixing cars or whatever, right? And you're like, I want to have the minimum tool set, so I'm just going to have one adjustable wrench, right? You know the little wrenches with the little spiral thing, or whatever those are called. I only need one because I can adjust the spiral thing anywhere, right? But then you learn, like, oh, you know what? Actually, if it's bigger and longer, I could turn heavier things and have more torque. But that's also inconvenient if it's something small. So I actually want more than one size of wrench, right? Ergonomic issues matter. Hope the QA session won't be as brutal as Mike Acton CPP Con talk. I mean, that's always a possibility. But like, I don't think the people asking the questions in the Mike Acton session look good, right? They look like they're not very good programmers to me. And so if that happens, if there's an unfriendly audience, then, you know, that's fine. Why does it feel like work ethic is gone? It has taken a very strong hit. So it feels that way because it is that way. Mike's talk was amazing. Yeah, his talk was good, but the audience thought it sucked and was very hostile. Did the feature set I wanted to achieve with the language at all influence the type of game I chose to make? No, I think it's really the other way around. Like the game imposes the requirements, and then the language has to be good enough to implement the requirements. All right. Let us in the sanity check command, which some of you on a previous stream may have seen me running, we want to add checking for some new entity types that are in the gameplay. And then after I do that, maybe I'll just do some level design, because I was working on this purple area today. It would be purple means, or that's not exactly purple. I don't know what color that is. But colors in that range, when you see them around, they mean this isn't figured out yet. And you'll see that there's not very much of that color compared to what's not that color, which is great. Although some stuff like this is a cool puzzle, or it's kind of cool, that's like not attached to anything. It might get deleted. But like, things are in pretty good shape here for what it is. For what it is, okay? For what it is. Actually, I also need to redesign this. What if it's... Oh, I have an idea for that. I have a better idea. Magenter. Come on up to the lab and see what's on the slab. Dr. Scott, Rocky, Magenta. Are any of the unannounced projects using this language? Yes, everything we're doing uses this language. Everything. Did I discover more joy in programming? Yes, for sure. What kind of libraries do I consider essential to performing imperative languages? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to answer that right now because that's a very deep question, but we can definitely go into that in the talk. So in the talk, we're going to go. Let me put this. Let's put this up here because. Would I say the importance of libraries is different for functional languages? Probably not by much, because at the end of the day, you want to call a function that does what you want to do, right? Like, I don't think that changes based on the language paradigm. Does this mean the game is getting nearly done? The game is more done than ever before. Yeah, complexity budget is a good thing to talk about. Is there a sequel planned? No. However, never say never, right? Never say never. Except I just did. People who say never literally say never twice in that sentence. It's ridiculous. What is Bell? Bell is this language that I don't think much of that Paul Graham made. It's like basically a super, even more minimal Lisp dialect than Scheme. That's all about your program text being as short as possible. Shouldn't it be called B then? Well, B was taken. Okay. We're going to comment this out. This ended up being a function that we did not use. We're going to pass layer info and tower. Okay, so This is just very pasta. I'm probably getting some of these enums. So there is no on-ground flag because reasons. Okay. Okay, that's some error checking, I guess. Underground is not a member of Tower Flags. I told you. Upstairs and downstairs. Dang it. Dude, that banana wasn't enough. I'm really hungry. I'll have some more white chocolate bar. Did I take inspiration from other languages? A little bit. Not a ton, though. Mostly the inspiration was just like how I program in C++ and what I wish I could do, right? Okay, this command was sanity level entries. Okay. Let's change tower flags here. Oh, you know what? We actually didn't check. It's not the tower flags exactly that we want to check. Yeah, there we go. So that check works. That's not really what we want to check. I mean, we do, but there's only a small number of towers. What I really wanted to check was level entries. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Check tower flags. Tower layer info tower.tower flags. And then let's just put this right here for a minute. check tower flags. E is an entity, layer ground, layer info. Layer info. Okay. So okay. So what do I want to get asked but never get asked? I hate that kind of question. That's a cop-out question. The answer is nothing. If I wanted to get asked something, I would just tell people the thing. You don't need people to ask something to have permission to say the thing, right? Okay. Wait, was it level entry check or was it sanity? It was sanity. There's two commands because reasons. Okay, we got one. We got one. This is also an error that we want to check, but it's not one. Okay, so select. Okay, this does not have the downstairs flag. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we also have this. This spawner is not the error. Is not activated by any activator. Yes, it should be this one. What a good check. All right. That's great. Those are good. We have some gameplay decisions to make about the flags. All right. Let's look at this. Okay, here I gotta fix this level. Totally different issue than what we have been talking about. We gotta prevent some problems. All right. So there we go. Let's edit the color of this a little more. We're gonna be matching. What's a good matching color? I don't know. You know, both of these are kind of more brown. All right. So I'll make a note for incomplete art. Incomplete terrain edited here, right? And then also there. Cool. Level still works. Great. Okay. Let's figure out what are the horrendous sound events, which I'll show you in a minute. But first we're going to take the W on all this stuff. Add a debugging command for towers and level entries. Fix concavities in level trick shots. But something about the language that's unexpectedly easy and a big win. It was very easy to get compile time execution running initially. Now, all the ways that it's integrated with the language are quite complicated now, but getting it initially going was very easy. It's Tortoise SVN. Yes, that is the Tortoise SVN. It is the best SVN. Okay. It's getting to be bedtime soon, but let me show you the horrendous. So I've had my sound muted. And here is why. They sure are taking a while to start up. Hear that? Yes. So I don't have good debugging for the WWise sound system, but I have a suspicion about what sound effects those are. So we're going to go comment those out. And rebuild, and I suspect it's that. Imagine playing a video game that sounded like that as you were just trying to play. Be great, right? No, it's not. Maybe it's the unstall. No. I'm going to keep trying a few times. So rover turn. Rover move. It's not rover move. It might be rover pushed. I'm just going to comment these all out. Okay. Those were already. All right. How do you configure SVN? There's a thing, I think it's called the commit hook. It just runs when you commit things. Einstürzen de Neubauten. That is basically what it is. What the actual hell? All right, I'm just going to make a recording of the sounds. All right, I played a game and I have constantly whatever this sound is. I had thought that this sound was going to be rover sounds, but I commented out all the rover sounds, or at least I think I successfully did that, and it is not happening. And so I'm not sure, like I could debug sound events, but we would probably get sound events for all the rovers that are moving and stuff. But hopefully you recognize what sound this is and can just fix it. When I start a new game, and then I go to the overworld, we don't have this sound anymore. So, I mean, this is a debug build, so it's taking more time than usual. See, now it's fine. So, it's definitely something weird that you might not see because your game state is not whatever I am. But again, hopefully you recognize the sound effect and can fix it. Thank you. All right, now I will put that on Dropbox. And then I will revert the things. All right. Hopefully I recorded it. Okay, good. I have it set to MP4. The default OBS is ASTASTIC format. I played a game. All right. So, where's rename? What is wrong with Windows? I'm trying to rename. Oh, it's scrolling. Rename. I'm not used to all the quirks of FilePilot. Loud creaks. All right. I can't do Dropbox on that window. Got to do it over here. Boom. All right. I'm going to go to my email. I'm going to say, there's a new problem. When I load my current save game on the overworld, I hear a bunch of very loud creaks happening. I thought that don't have distance masking, or there's some other issue. I thought, by the way, they sound that these were rover sounds, but I turned off all the rover sounds and it's still happening. So I made a video colon, and then I will paste in the video. Hopefully this is an easy fix. What sound event is this? It's quite possible it is something that the game should not be sending at all, that should get fixed in gameplay code. All right. What else do I say? I'm adding a little business note, and there we go. Okay, so that's great. Sometimes that's making a video game is... He'll probably just fix it between tonight and tomorrow. Our sound guys are in Europe, so they have very different hours, and it just means that sometimes that's annoying, but usually it's great when you're working with sound contractors or whatever, because you don't usually have to be in a super tight loop with them. So like, I'll send them something, and you know, if they had time to work on it, then it's like fixed when I wake up, which is awesome. Please show you the Kung Fu folder. No, man. That's, you know, I can't show you the 5-point palm exploding heart technique. That's off limits. Why does the right click take so long? Because it's loading a bunch of craptastic Windows extensions, right? It's like longer probably in regular Windows shell, right? That's about the same. Because like all of these that draw the icon and whatever, these are all like plugins, right? It's horrible. It's horrible. What is the program I use? Bear Grep. It is an old program. I wish I had something newer and better that at least lets me dial the font size and draws sharply, but this is still way better than trying to use Visual Studio or some crap like that. Didn't I used to have a face cam? Yeah, you know, it's basically impossible to have a computer where sometimes the camera's turned on and sometimes it's not. We all know that once you turn the camera on your computer, it's just on forever. We all know that. I think it's going to be bedtime for me, guys. We've had a good day. No, you know what? Okay, before bedtime. Before bedtime. Extra bonus. We're just going to look at the level design a little bit. Windows File Explorer doesn't instantly load extensions anymore. Then why does it take so long to right click? Like, does it page out the icons and it has to like load them very slowly? Like, what is it? Okay, so I'm trying to figure out some fun level idea. Well, not level, but little puzzle here with mirrors. And the problem is anything with multiple mirrors introduces cloning, and we don't want cloning on the overworld. So I might have to bag the idea, but I want to turn this whole thing not magenta. You know what I'm saying? I have the urge to stop the magenta. It's asking Copilot, all right? What do I think about the trend of removing the human from the production process? For example, most programming languages aim for two different programmers to produce the same correct structure. What? I have no idea what you're talking about there. What programming languages are these that you're talking about? But what I will say about the general part of the question is the way that people get richer, the way that humanity becomes more prosperous on the whole, is not by the government taxing everybody and giving money out. That doesn't make people more prosperous, right? The way people become more prosperous is by being able to have more benefit for less labor. That is the definition of wealth. More benefit for less labor. And so anything in programming that makes that possible makes everybody wealthier. So we actually want that. Dude, I've been working on this game forever. If I could have made this game with less labor, I would have been very happy to do so. Languages like Zig, it somehow magically assumes that you don't want zero initialized pointers. Yeah, well, I disagree with that decision. I know why. I know why they think that that's important, because he read this essay called The $1 Billion Mistake or whatever the fuck. But I don't think it's the right decision. I think you want null pointers in a systems language. Because if you don't have null pointers, you end up pointing at a sentinel or something anyway, and then your program is wrong and it just doesn't crash. But you want, like, especially during development, you want your program to crash when it's wrong, right? So, yeah. $1 billion mistake is not... Is it called billion or $1 trillion mistake? It might be called $1 trillion mistake. Yeah, it's this fucking thing. Which, it's a good observation that null pointer crashes are very, very frequent. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't have them. Doesn't Zig have null pointers? I don't know. I'm just going by what chat said. We all know that chat is 100% accurate in all things. Okay, I didn't finish this area right here. I do not know anything about Zig at all, except, you know, the obvious thing. All right. I just wanted to set these up. This, I kind of want a better idea for this little room, but that's okay for now. Question mark pointer can have null value. But you have to put that like every time you pass it to a function or whatever, right? So that then, you know, I mean, I can see why one might think that you want that, right? But of course, and you might want that sometimes, but of course that comes with all the pain in the asses from C, right? Like, oh, I want to make this thing const. Now it has to be const down 27 million layers of function calls, and I'm just doing all this tedium, right? So you just have to be careful with that stuff. Do I have an idea for what these areas will look like aesthetically? Broadly speaking, maybe, but that's something that really we mostly determine in a later phase. Like, because it's just too much to think about. Like, making these designs work at all is really hard. Like, we're making them good. Like, it's not that hard to design things that work and suck, but you want the game to be good. So, yeah. I don't know, man. You want to be generic over qualifiers easier. Well, maybe, but dude, the problem with C++ is generics are just bad in that language. So the more of your code is generic, the worse of a time you're going to have, right? There's a scale change in the game where sometimes the human characters are bigger or smaller relative to the level props. I mean, the explanation is very involved, right? But like, there's a lot of reasons. So if you want to have certain kinds of settings, for example, and you build everything to scale with the characters, then you're going to expect to interact with those things. They're going to look interactive, right? But it's a puzzle game where it is absolutely required that it's very clear at all times what you actually can interact with and what you can't, right? And that's a primary design parameter, is that clarity. Because if you don't have that clarity, it makes the game a lot less fun, and also puzzles become a lot harder than they actually should be. And you know, that heuristic started with like buildings, for example, right? Like, you don't want well, imagine this also, right? You've seen some of these screenshots where this game is full of like, hey, we need a wall that's like 1 wide here or something, right? And if you're going to say this has an art style that is depicting everything at character scale, then across this entire game of 900 levels, you suddenly don't really have that much variety over what the walls are, because they just have to be like brick walls or concrete walls or piled stone walls or piled dirt walls, right? Whereas if you allow yourself to play with scale like this, it's like, oh, I'm in a city now. And these are like, market stalls or buildings or whatever. You just have a lot more freedom to play with setting and um, fiction of the game, right? How do you design the puzzles? I'm not going to say much about that right now, simply because it'll make a lot more sense when you actually have the game and can play the game, right? Because I feel like which of these is first? I'm seeing things that I saw earlier today and wanted to handle and didn't. Druid vertical mirror. Underworld Mist. So we have that before special move. And then this is activated by, oh, it's an OR gate. Okay. We'll put these here then. And then you go up and you do all this. And then you get down here. These do not do anything. The question is, do we... So that level is fun. That level is fun. Yeah, we could also make that an OR gate. So we don't... So this was going to be the level that you sort of get to from here. Like it might connect, but we haven't designed this yet, so we can't really connect it. All right, so this is fine. I was like, maybe we want to make these into sequences, but they're not sequences. It's fine. Is there anything we wish the engine had that we haven't yet implemented? I mean, not really, not in basic terms like that. You can always wish that things were a little better. But I mean, the engine is totally sufficient for the game that we're making, which is really all that you can ask for. You can also just show off more of a surrounding environment without moving the camera further away by using a smaller scale. Yeah, we do that in some cases, right? So, like we sort of, this is like, oh, we might have redesigned some of these levels that I want to show and knocked them back to designer art. But yeah, you can get like a panorama effect in the background of a level, which wouldn't make sense otherwise. What modern programming and compiler techniques do I consider essential? That is just too broad of a question. I can't, like, that question is asking me to do a 6-hour lecture in response to the question. It's just not feasible for right now. Okay, what do I do here? What? Ugh. So this level is fun. The thing is, I don't just want to repeat. We could like just straight up repeat the idea of that level in the overworld, but I don't want to do that. maybe you just use mirrors to get around. I don't know. That's not that exciting. Not that exciting. But yeah, if I put mirrors at a different vertical level, then I don't have the cloning problem. You would suggest that as question for the talk. I see. I see. The level name Busy Beaver should not be taken too literally. It is not about solving the Busy Beaver problem for n equals 6 or whatever the hell. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Okay. I just kind of don't have ideas. I mean, we could do this. I do have an idea. I take that back. I do have an idea. However, I'm not sure I really want to do that idea. I don't think it adds anything. How much value is there in solving academic problems like Busy Beaver? For a practical game programmer such as myself, 0. But it's interesting. You know? It's interesting. Can we expect longer streams from me? I mean, I just do what I'm in the mood to do. The thing is right now, my pace of work is that I tend to be working out in the world during the day. So I'm not really doing like 4-hour sessions at home very often. Which is when I used to stream those really long sessions, right? Because I was at home. Maybe I'll start doing that again. Who knows? Like I said at the start of this stream, though, I'm going to be traveling for weeks. Not quite yet. In the beginning of June. So we'll see. We'll see. But speaking of, I think it's going to be bedtime for me. I'm going to try to sleep on What do? We want some theme for this room that is about these levels. And I mean, maybe I should think about this one more. It would having a little fire breathing dragon would be interesting. Maybe it wouldn't be interesting. I don't know. All right, thanks everybody. I'm going to sign off. No raid tonight. Have a good evening and hope your life is going well.